What's up guys, DuArktik with another Marvel Strike Force video, and in this video we are going to talk about the Young Avengers. And why are we talking about the Young Avengers? Because Rogue is gonna come very soon. Within 1 week and a half we'll have the second run of the Famine Scourge event, where we'll have the chance of unlocking Rogue. One of the requirements to unlock Rogue is to beat the node number 5 and node number 10 of the Famine Scourge with the Young Avengers, T4s or Inhumans. So in this video we are going to dedicate it talking about the best T4s and ISO weight for the Young Avengers and how much you should gear them up in order to participate in the Scourge, and if they have any value in other game modes or not. We're going to talk about all of that. As always, if you like the information on this video, make sure you share it with your friends on Facebook and Discord. If you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe for more Marvel Strike Force content, and make sure you smash that like button. Okay, let's talk about the Young Avengers. So like I mentioned, we are going to recap the Young Avengers in terms of ISO weight and T4. So this is the team right here, and we are going to jump for msf.gg, and we are going to take a look at the T4s of each of these characters and why I recommend them the way I recommend. Okay, so first off we have American Chavez. American Chavez, he does mostly single target damage, and her damage is mostly important to focus on one character only, so you can nuke them as fast as possible. Based on that, the basic attack has a little bit of value, it's 2 stars out of 5. Then we have the special. This special does a lot of damage, especially if you have Hero Brawlers or Young Avengers, so this is going to be a good T4. Then we have the ultimate. The ultimate is 100% garbage, nothing special, so it's something you can skip. And finally we have the passive. Now we are going to completely ignore all the T4s that are for Alliance Wars, because this team already has a lot of hard counters for Alliance Wars. So all of these buffs, they are nice, but to be honest, this team is falling off the meta from Alliance Wars, and most people don't even care about Alliance Wars. So anything that says Alliance Wars and Alliance Wars defense, we are going to completely ignore. So in terms of American Chavez, you should consider doing the special and the basic because of the striker ISO weight that we are going to use on her. Okay, so that was American Chavez. Now we're going to take a look at Echo, if we can find her. Unfortunately, msf.gg has not been working properly lately, and we cannot use the tags of the characters. Okay, so for Echo, we are going to use the basic attack. We are going to do the T4 here because she's going to be a striker ISO weight user, and her basic attack does 2 taps with this additional attack, and then she's going to do the striker ISO weight, so you're going to be able to do 4 attacks with her basic attack, which is very strong. Then we have the special, and the special is going to give 2 evades for the entire team. You can see right here. Also is going to guarantee 2 chain attacks, and this jumps from one place to another, which is great. And the evades, they stack up, so when it says +2, that means they can stack up even if they already have evades. So this is a very good T4 on Echo Special. Now in terms of the ultimate is not a good T4. The multipliers are not that big, and it chains for multiple characters, but the problem is that counterattack breaks that chain. And most of the teams where you use the Young Avengers against, like the Wakanda, they have counterattacks and they have retaliation attacks that stop this chain attack. So because of that, this is not going to be a good T4. It's definitely skippable. And finally we have the passive for Echo, and that's to increase the damage of the entire team, and is also going to increase the damage that she does with the retaliation attacks. This is a very important T4, very useful in all game modes, including on the Famine Scourge event. Okay, so for Echo, once again, basic attack, special, and the passive. Let's move on to the next character, which is going to be Kate Bishop. And for Kate Bishop, I use her as a skirmisher because she needs to apply negative effects. She needs to flip positive effects on the enemies. That's the main purpose for her. And her focus is not terrible, but it's not great either, because the enemies right now, they have so much resistance that it becomes a little bit it's just not enough. So she has 18,000 at level 90, which is okay. She's also gonna get offense up, which gives her 50% more focus, but for the Famine Scourge event, especially for node number 5, the enemies have insane amount of resistance and it's not gonna be enough. So the Skirmisher is definitely gonna be the best option, and whether you use them in other game modes, the Skirmisher overall it's also the best option because you really want to flip the positive effects on the enemies. Okay, so based on that, we don't need to do the T4 on the basic, it only increases the damage a little bit, and it has some extra bonus for Alliance Wars, but we can ignore that. Then we have the special, and we are going to do the special because it applies offense down for 2 turns for the entire team, so that's significant. The special also has very low cooldown and it has a nice amount of piercing damage, so based on that it's overall a decent T4. Then the ultimate, it attacks all enemies, but it only increases the multiplier just by 50%, which is not much. And it has some buffs for Alliance Wars, but like I said, we are going to ignore this team for Alliance Wars because right now they have so many hard counters that it's not important anymore to do these T4s. These T4s were important back in the day when this team was released. Right now with so many hard counters, it's completely possible for you to ignore all those T4s that are Alliance Wars related. Burhar Sadiq, thanks for the subscription. And finally we are going to take a look at the passive. It increases the damage that she gives to random enemies by 50%. This is piercing damage and it's an off-turn attack. It's very important. And also on spawn, they spawn with 2 turns offense up rather than just 1. So because this affects the entire team, because this is an off-turn attack, and because it's also piercing, then we are going to do this T4. It's not the best T4s on this team, but it's pretty decent. Okay, so that was Kate Bishop. Now we have Miss Marvel. And for Miss Marvel, we have some T4s to take a look at. So because Miss Marvel, she always assists hero brawlers, and because she always assists young Avengers, it's going to be important for you to do the T4 on the basic, because whenever she assists, she will always get 2 deflects. And deflects, they stop crits and they also stop the damage by 25%, so it's going to be very important. Now this is not +2 deflects, unfortunately, so the maximum that you can have is just 2 deflects on her. Then the special, it's 100% skippable, it's the self-healing, it has very long cooldown, the healing is not a relevant amount, and it's something that we can completely ignore. Now the ultimate is very important. The more enemies you face, the more valuable this T4 is going to be, and for the Scourge this is very important T4 because it increases the amount of energy and increases the chance of you to get energy from the enemies that you are facing. So this is a very important T4. It's definitely a must-have for Miss Marvel. And finally we have her passive, and her passive right now is 100% trash because it only gives bonuses for Alliance Wars, and like I said, Alliance Wars for this team right now it's irrelevant, so we are going to ignore this T4. Okay, so finally we have Squirrel Girl to talk about the T4s, and the T4 on the basic, on the Scourge event, can be quite nice because she's going to apply offense down to the character with the highest speed bar. So the character that is going to attack next, it will have 50% less damage. This is extremely useful against Yellow Jackets, Zemo and so on, which are enemies that you face on this Famine Scourge event. So it's not a priority T4, but if you have additional T4s to spend, it's something that you might consider and you might get some use out of it. Then we have the special. The special is very important because it goes from clearing 2 positive effects to clearing all positive. It clears 2 negative effects and then it clears all negative effects that the enemies apply to you. So because you go from 2 to all, it's extremely important. Even if you're not getting these additional effects from Alliance Wars, it doesn't matter because this, just the clearing alone, clearing heal blocks and bleeds and the defense down slows and so on, if you can clear all of that with just 1 ability with very low cooldown, that's going to be huge. So this is definitely one must-have T4 for Squirrel Girl. Now we have the ultimate, and I don't recommend the ultimate. There are a few cases out there that this ultimate is important because of the 2 turns heal block. Right now, and specifically for the Famine Scourge event, it's not going to be important at all, so it's something you can skip. And finally, we have the passive for Squirrel Girl, and this is a very important T4, because every time the Young Avengers are going to drop from 100% to 75%, 75 to 50, 50 to 25, Squirrel Girl is going to get additional 20% third meter to a total of 30% third meter. That alone is just massive. But on top of that, we are also going to get additional drain for the entire team, which will increase the sustainability of this team and will keep them alive for a lot longer. Okay, so now we are going to talk about the position of the Young Avengers, and we're also going to talk about the isolate for the Young Avengers. So as you can see, I like to use Healer on Squirrel Girl, Skirmisher on Kate Bishop, Skirmisher as well on Miss Marvel, Echo and American Chavez with Striker isolate. And Squirrel Girl, she needs the healing because all of that turn meter that she's going to get, it's going to allow her to use her special multiple times. And even if the allies have heal block, because she's getting so much turn meter, she'll heal with the isolate passive ability that gives 5% additional healing on spawn, applies regeneration. So even if she's not able to heal directly, because she's having so many turns, she'll end up healing with a passive ability from the isolate. And overall, increasing the amount of healing that Squirrel Girl gives, it's insane, because it increases so much the viability of this team, and because of the low cooldown, this ability is very strong with the healer isolate. Some people recommend the striker isolate. Let's be honest, the little bit of damage that you do, it's like 5% more damage on the entire team output of damage. It's irrelevant, so just focus on the healing because that's the best that Squirrel Girl has to offer. Kate Bishop, as we mentioned before, she applies tons of negative effects to the enemies. She flips positive effects on the enemies to negative effects, so you really want her to all the time have enough focus in order to do all of that. So the Skirmisher isolate is going to be the best option, and because you are also applying vulnerabilities, you indirectly are also increasing the damage that your entire team provides to the enemy team. Then we have Miss Marvel. Because she always assists, you want her to apply vulnerability to the enemies when she assists, so she has the Skirmisher isolate, and that will allow American Chavez and Echo to double attack the enemies. American Chavez and Echo, as we mentioned before, they are going to take the striker isolate because you want to have the most single target damage possible. You really want to have that big burst damage on specific characters, because as soon as you get rid of those specific characters, you are going to have a very easy time with this team. Now, this position that we are taking a look at right now on the screen is the best position for the Famine Scourge event, and this is because you want as many characters as possible to be exposed to damage without compromising the survivability of your team. So you're gonna have American Chavez, which is the least relevant character on this team, and you're gonna have Kate Bishop next to Miss Marvel. And Kate Bishop, she has evades that are given to herself whenever she drops below 50% health, so she has enough survivability to be next to Miss Marvel. Because of this positioning, you'll have Squirrel Girl getting more turn meter than ever compared to other kind of positionings when you have like Miss Marvel here and the other characters in a chain. Like this, you break the chains and you also get additional turn meter for Squirrel Girl. So once again, this is the best positioning for the Famine Scourge event. For Alliance Wars, it's a different position, but we are not going to speak about that because once again, Alliance Wars no longer matters for this team. Okay, so with taking a look at the isolate, taking a look at the T4s, the positioning and so on, we are going to finally talk about the best game modes where you can use the Young Avengers right now. Okay, so here we have the infographic with all the information. This was updated today, and it will have all the information that you need until the future, until this team gets reworked and some major changes. But right now, this is the most updated version of this infographic, and all the information that you need to have in order to gear up your Young Avengers. You have the T4 recommendations, you have the ISO weight, the gear that you should put on them. This team should be around level 80 and gear tier 15. Beyond that, it's not really necessary. And even level 80 gear tier 15, it's something that will diminish in value in terms of the Scourge, but it might have some value in other game modes. So let's talk about these game modes. And you can see right here that this team overall is going to perform very well on Blitz, and you can even break them apart and use American Chavez, for example, with Hero Brawlers. Now in Arena they are not going to be good, in Raids they are also not going to be good, these characters have no utility there. In Dark Dimension, these characters have minor utility, Squirrel Girl on the city nodes, but it's not super relevant. Kate Bishop and Echo, they can also be used on the global nodes, but once again it's not super useful. They are not going to provide a lot of things for you. So apart from Blitz, where they are going to shine, it's going to be on Alliance Wars. Even without those T4s specific for Alliance Wars, it's still a decent team. Once again, they have hard counters, but you are still going to consume one of those hard counters, even without those specific T4s for Alliance Wars. Then we have this one right here. This is for Avengers Tower. This team is extremely strong on Avengers Tower, and hopefully that game mode will show up more often. And finally we have Cosmic Crucible. This team has a little bit higher value on Cosmic Crucible because they counter a team that is designed specifically for Cosmic Crucible, which is the Wakanda. And this is the only reason why you should gear up Young Avengers to level 80 gear tier 15. It's because of their utility in Cosmic Crucible against Wakanda, which is a team that some people, not everyone, has geared up quite a lot, and overall Young Avengers are still the best counter against Wakanda in Cosmic Crucible. Okay guys, so that's gonna be the updated version of the infographic for the Young Avengers, all the information that you need to know in order to prepare for this next Famine Scourge event, where you'll be able to obtain Rogue, the legendary character of the Unlimited X-Men, which you require for the Famine Saga, and that you after will require as well for the Apocalypse Saga. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to smash that like button, and if you found the information helpful, make sure you share it with your friends on Facebook and Discord. If you are new to my channel, make sure to subscribe for more Marvel Strike Force content, and I will catch you guys later.